Have you ever heard of African painted dogs? These wild animals are native to Africa, and they are endangered. Some estimates say wild painted dog populations have dropped from 500,000 to about 6,500. Saving these animals is the mission of the Zimbabwe nonprofit Painted Dog Research. And since 2018, PDR has partnered with Niabi Zoo in Cole Valley. It's why we have Niabi's Joel Vanderbush and PBR leader, Dr. Greg Rasmussen, back on the current with us today. Thank you both so much for being here with us.
Pleasure.
Always.
All right, Dr. Rasmussen, you work with Painted Dog Research to train the next generation of conservationists and students in Zimbabwe. Why is this work so important? What do you train them to do?
Well, the main thing is that save wildlife in general, we need a critical mass of conservationists. We need everyone can do something. People can pick up plastic trash because they care. So the whole idea is to create a generation of young Zimbabweans that care about painted dogs and the environment. And through a bush camp, that's the best way to go.
And what do they learn when they're being trained? What do you help them with?
Well, Jules helps with the training program, but the whole thing is hands-on activity, 3-day live-in bush camp, do things they've never done before. In Africa, a lot of these kids never even have 3 meals a day at home. Rural kids, and it's not fair, so it's lovely to give them an environment where they can be happy.
The photos that we're looking at right now, guys, if you can pop those back up again, those photos were from when, Joel, you and another zookeeper from Niabi, Jesse Lynch Porter, went over just back in December to Zimbabwe, and you were helping out with the bush camp. What were you guys doing?
Well, of course, when she was here talking with you back in December when we got back, it's really great to kind of have a continuation of 2 sides of the same story, right? And in that, of course, Jesse, as a zookeeper, a carnivore keeper, was able to participate in some field research on painted dogs and any of the other animals that we could track using those camera traps. And then my main goal was to, as Dr. Rasmussen said, to help train new conservation educators there. Because, when we started working in Africa with them back in 2023, they really only had 1 conservation educator. And then I went there to do some training where we trained 3 more. And then as the bush camps have expanded to going from once a month to now twice a month, they were like, we need more people. And so we made the arrangements to go over, and we trained 9 more staff members for a total of 13 conservation educators there, so that they have that flexibility to always have those bush camps fully staffed. And we provided some uniforms and all kinds of great things over there. So they're really feeling a major team focus to represent Painted Dog Research and to be able to educate their community for those that, as Dr. Greg said, just don't have the opportunity usually.
Yeah, and I want to talk about those painted dogs.
Oh, they're just the best.
Yeah, what do you love about them?
Well, apart from the fact that they're big ears and everything else, but the main thing about them is their social system. They're the only species on the planet there's no fighting. No fighting for territories, no fighting for leadership. No fighting among the pack. I spoke to a group of kids not long ago. I said, can you imagine a day where you didn't all fight? And they said, no. And painted dogs do a whole pack of them. And they do it by greeting each other. Every single day when one wakes up, all the others greet each other. Imagine the number of greetings when there's 20 dogs, 20 plus 19 dogs, 150 greetings. Hello, hello, hello. And they do that. Then they build up brownie points, credits. It's like saying good morning in the morning. How are you? Would you like a cup of tea? When you mess up later in the day, you're likely to be forgiven.
Well, I'm thinking back to when you guys both came on the current last year, and we were talking about how Niabi had helped raise money when it came to these bush camps for this big jackhammer that was needed to help expand the bush camps. Here we are a year later. What are you fundraising for now?
The bush camp.
Yeah, we're still kind of working
camp
toward that because last year, of course, with that big compressor to run those jackhammers, we did get it. But now we had to finish getting some parts in for that. So they've just come in. We actually just heard that they're all there now. And so it's really the finishing touches of breaking through some major rocks in order to put in, I know it's not attractive, but a toilet block and showers, right?
But it's essential.
It is.
It
like
is.
all the
Very
housing,
essential.
all the housing is built for the kids. The dining hall is built for them. A performance stage is built for them. But if you can't go to the bathroom,
Right.
it's kind of hard. So, so that's the final piece. And then, once we finish that off, because we're coming to the end of Dr. Greg's tour. He's been, here in the U.S. since the end of January. He's got about 2 more weeks to go, where he finishes up here in Illinois and then down to Florida for one event, and then he's done.
Wow.
And so it's been pretty successful. But we here in Illinois, we want to represent. So
Absolutely.
we want to support it.
It can always be more successful.
That's right.
Seriously. In our first half hour, we introduced you to the Zimbabwe nonprofit Painted Dog Research. They work to train the next generation of conservationists to save wild painted dogs in Africa. Since 2018, PDR has also partnered with Niabi Zoo in Cole Valley. So we have Niabi's Joel Vanderbush and Painted Dog Research's Dr. Greg Rasmussen back on the current. Thank you both so much for being here once again.
Of course.
Dr.
Thank you.
Rasmussen, I want to start with you. What are some misconceptions about wild painted dogs, or something you want people to know about
Well,
them?
painted dogs were conceived as ruthless cattle killers, and they were slaughtered as such. And that wasn't true. They actually were responsible for, in the ranchers' case, 1.7% of their losses. And plastic bags killed 17% of their cattle, cattle swallowing. So that was one misconception. The thing I really love about them is their social system. And just to share a very quick story, when I first started working with the dogs, one dog was mauled by a lion, and we gave him up for dead. And I came back the next morning, and the body was gone, dragged away, and I thought it'd been dragged away by predators. And then when I caught up with the pack, and a dog called Circus, which is actually about the book. This is the real dog. It kept disappearing somewhere every other day. And I'm like, where's he going? So we tracked about 8 miles, and we got to a point where Circus was going back to his brother every single day to lick and clean his wounds. He did that for 3 months. He would travel 8 or 10, 12, 14 miles every day to go and look after his brother. That was 38 years ago. That was the first time ever any wild species looking after their sick and the weak. No wonder I'm a committed conservationist.
Because you've just seen stories like that over
I see things
and
like
over
that, I was
again.
just like, wow.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And we have painted dogs right here in our area.
We do.
They came to Niabi a few years ago. I remember being out there when you guys were building the enclosure for them. What are their names? And Joel, what's it like to have them at Niabi?
Well, we have Prospect and Salou. We just have a pair right now. But, the amazing thing with them is the story that they tell. Right? Because we have a lot of really great educational graphics that, tell the story of our relationship, the partnership, the work that they're doing, as far as the threats, as well as the solutions to try to help, evade those threats and make things really go well. The story that the dogs themselves tell, just their playful nature. We now have a zip line, not that they themselves ride in, but it's technically like a meat zip line, so we can hang like a carcass. But and that was something that Dr. Greg had designed for other zoos and showed us how to do it. But basically, they can pull like on a piece of fire hose to pull the cable down, so another one can actually get to the meat. So it's teamwork. They have to work together in order to do it, and that's one of those things where the relationships between these animals and the social structure and the camaraderie and the companionship and all of the things that go along with it and their family structure, all of that is something that we can learn from.
Seriously.
Yeah, and that's exciting.
And it speaks also to your guys' partnership and the way that you have both worked together to help Painted Dogs.
We're a team.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings us to this Thursday. You were having a doggone trivia night out at Niabi Zoo. What's going to be going on?
Well, the thing is, we here in the Quad Cities, we love a good trivia night.
We do love a
We
good
do,
trivia
and I was like, geez, this is just another doggone trivia night. And I'm like, actually. So Greg will be doing a little presentation in the beginning about the work that he does, of course. So to make sure everybody is understanding, it is not trivia about painted dogs.
Okay.
Right? So it is a generalized trivia. It's a really good trivia night with a lot of variety of topics. But if you listen very carefully to Dr. Greg's talk, you will get some answers to some bonus questions to get extra points.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So no, that's
Giving
going to
away
be very exciting. But of course, as we see on this table right here, we'll have some merchandise available too. So the snare wire arts that we have seen before, we have some new poses for our painted dogs, and the book, which Dr. Greg wrote, A Dog Called Circus, just like the dog he was talking about. And in that book, it's really focused on children, and there's wonderful art in there by an artist named Jeff Wells out of Florida.
Wow.
And the wonderful thing with that is the sales of those books, 100% of the proceeds go back to the children's bush camp there in Zimbabwe. And that's really why we have these things, is to turn it right back over and be able to give it right back to the work that's being done to sports conservation.
Seriously, and I think it's so important to point out this is local work being done by people who live there, who grew up there.
Yeah.
This is their whole life. And I want to have you back on soon, Joel, to talk about opening day at Niabi's coming up in April. They've got a brand new exhibit about the painted dogs. But in the few seconds we have left, Dr. Asmussen, I wanted to end with you. We've talked about the work that you've done so far in Zimbabwe over 30 plus years. What's your goal for the next 5, 10 years for painted dog
My goal
research?
is to set up scholarships for women in conservation. I've got a young lady that I've supported for 13 years, who's now completed her master's. She's a leading speaker at conferences and workshops. She's from the rural village where we live. And then that's what we want to do, is get scholarships for young women like that to go forward, because obviously in the rural areas, women are denied an education in northwest Zimbabwe, and it's very common in many parts of the third world. So empower women. We need more women in conservation.
And there's a great avenue also to do that, even on the Painted Dog Research Donate page. You can choose what you want your gift to go to, and scholarships are one of those things. Because that bush camp actually chooses students that are the top ones of that bush camp, so that every 6 months they run a special bush camp for the top students, who then choose scholarship recipients from that bush camp. So we've created this avenue to do exactly that. So it's pretty great.
You guys, your work is incredible. Thank you so much for your time today and dropping by. Thursday's going to be an amazing turnout out there.
Absolutely. We want lots of women to come.
And there are still some seats available, and we are advising people, if they have a team of 6, a pack, that would be the best, because they can also get a discount, but then you have your whole team ready to back you up.
And ready to win.
Indeed.
Guys, thank you
All right.
both so much for coming by today.
Listen
I
very
really appreciate
carefully. I will say this only once.
That's right.